to Chad's Adventures episode number 4, and I'm so excited today because I'm at the New Orleans International Airport. I'm about to fly across the country for several adventures in San Diego, California. So let's see what we have in store for us there. I do love to fly, but I always worry that it might be my last. Well, here I am in San Diego. I arranged for somebody from the United States Navy to pick me up, and I think I see him right now. He is right here. There's a Navy guy to pick me up. Are you recording? Are you here to pick me up? Yes. Okay, awesome. So like I said in the airport, I did arrange for the U.S. Navy to pick me up, and driving me today is Petty Officer Nelson. And in fact, in San Diego, the largest employer in San Diego is the United States Navy. It has roughly 30,000 employees. So tell us about how many bases do they have here, Mr. Nelson, or whatever you are, Petty Officer Nelson?
That I can think of off the top of my head, there are 5 or 6 bases just in the Bay Area alone. There are more up north, including Camp Pendleton, including Camp Pendleton, the Marines. There's also Marine Recruit Training Command here in San Diego. There's the Point Loma Annex Base. There's the Point Loma Submarine Base, the 32nd Street Base, which is where most of the ships are stationed at. There's Naval Base San Diego, which is on Coronado Island, which is the base that I'm stationed at, which is also the carrier base. And then you have the Naval Amphibious Base for all of the marine assault stuff.
I just saw gas is $4.29 a gallon in that sign over there.
Yep.
Wow. I hope they pay you well enough here to buy gas. You get a great view of San Diego from the Coronado Bridge that connects the mainland to Coronado Island. When this bridge opened in 1969, the very first person to drive over this bridge was Ronald Reagan. I'm told that this beautiful home on Coronado Island is the inspiration of the Emerald City in The Wizard of Oz. I'm standing on Coronado Island, and behind me is the bay, and across the bay you can see the cityscape of San Diego. It's a very pretty cityscape back there. Beautiful city, actually. Well, this island I'm standing on, one side of it is the ocean, and the other side has this bay, and it's accessible between Point Loma and this island. So in 1542, 477 years ago, the first European arrived here. His name is Juan Rodríguez Cabrillo. And he sailed here from New Spain, Navidad, New Spain, which is now on the western coast of Mexico. And he came here and discovered this area and claimed it for Spain. And then he left, but it was in 1602 that they sent a man here by the name of Sebastian Vizcaino, and he mapped out this area, and he's the one that named this place San Diego, where Cabrillo named it San Miguel, but then Vizcaino changed the name to San Diego, which was a Spanish Catholic saint. And so it wasn't until years later, 250 years ago, in 1769, that permanent European colonization began to take place here. 4 groups of Spaniards were sent here to colonize this area, and I'm going to take you to that spot later to show you where they colonized and where they built their mission. The naval base on Coronado Island is known as the birthplace of naval aviation. It's also where my driver lives and works in his job in the Navy. So now I'm on the ocean side of Coronado Island. I'm actually on the naval base. They have a beach here that only military people can use, or their families, or their guests. But so if you look behind me in the distance, you see that land in the distance, that is Mexico. So that's how close we are. And the surf here is coming in on the Pacific Ocean. You know, so when people say, they try to say something specific, but they say, I'm going to say something Pacific, this is what I think of. I think of the Pacific Ocean. Pacifically. Well, it's specifically. So as I turn this way, that land there is Point Loma, and that's where you enter to go into the bay. It's between Coronado Island and Point Loma, the entrance to the bay. And so this is a beautiful area. This water feels so good. It's cold at first, but once you get used to it, it feels wonderful. And it is a beautiful, beautiful day here. It is so good to have an adventure away from home. Okay, so here we are at the USS Midway Museum, and as you can see behind me, the aircraft carrier, it is a massive ship. And Petty Officer Nelson, tell us a little bit about the ship.
Well, it was commissioned in the 1940s, and it wasn't decommissioned until 1992.
I think it was 1945, right, when it was commissioned?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, 1945, so right at the end of World War II. And then what was the last major operation it was part of?
The last mission that it served in was Operation Desert Storm.
Okay, well, let's go take a look at it. So we're in the heart of the ship, and tell me what your job or what your rate is in the Navy.
I'm an IT.
He's an IT, so, but if you were working on this ship, and then from the time it was commissioned to decommissioned, what would you be doing? Because I think IT is a relatively new rate in the Navy, right?
Yeah, IT's only been around for about a little over 20 years.
Okay. So what would you be doing?
I'd be a radioman, because it was the rate that IT came from.
Okay, and that's where we're at, in the radio central in the ship. This is where a lot of classified information was handled and communicated throughout the ship and throughout the fleet. So it's a pretty cool room here. So when this ship was commissioned in 1945, it was the largest ship in the world. And it's like a floating city. It had 4,500 crew members aboard. And so they had a lot of activity on this ship. They had to make 13,500 meals a day on here. They had its own barber shop. They did over 80,000 haircuts a year on this ship. They did 43,000 pounds of laundry every week. And it has 30,000 light fixtures on here. So it is a huge ship. Like I said, it's like a floating city. It's simply amazing. Look, Connor, aperture. That's the inside joke in our family. It's an aperture.
On the flight deck, you certainly learned about the meatball, and that's a light. The aviators are going to use that light to orient themselves, and they're going to follow the beam of that light down to the back of the ship. When they cross the stern, they should be able to catch the wire in the middle of those 3 wires. They're following the glide slope defined by the beam of the meatball light. This also must be adjusted here for each aircraft type that's landing. It's a fast adjust.
So Connor and I came to Imperial Beach to watch the sunset on the ocean, but once we got here we discovered that it's not setting on the ocean, it's setting behind Point Loma. It's still very pretty, but it's not what I wanted to see, so we're going to watch it set here, but tomorrow we're going to find a place on the ocean to watch it set. A beautiful sunset is my favorite time of day, and this sunset did not disappoint. This was a beautiful evening. The night air began to make itself known. A wedding had just taken place on the beach, and as you can see, this bride and groom were taking their wedding pictures. Well, I'm in my hotel room. I'm getting ready to call it a night and sign off for this episode of Chad's Adventures. It's been a long day, but it's been very fun. And just sitting here rehydrating myself before I go to bed. And I just wanted to point out that I learned today that San Diego imports their drinking water, but the amount that they import every day is an insane amount. They import 168 million gallons of drinking water every day. So on that note, I'm going to drink some of my water and sign off for tonight.